guys, welcome to my podcast. We finally have Kevin here today with us. You get to see Kevin today.
On camera.
I know, right? Thank you so much for joining the podcast as always.
Thank you for having me. I was starting to feel like the guy that you like hear his voice all the time, but you never see him.
Yeah, like that marshmallow guy, is it? Yeah, the DJ.
Like the guy from Home Improvement.
Yeah. Good one. Guys, thank you for joining my channel. Today we're going to be talking about VA loans. Kevin here has some questions. We're kind of going to go over that and answer any questions that I've been receiving on VA loans. So thank you.
Of course.
How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good.
Yeah?
Can't complain.
Anything special?
Not this weekend, no. Last weekend was busy, so this weekend was kind of just stay home, stay in.
It's been kind of gloomy though.
That too, yeah.
Do you ever feel that the gloomy weather affects your mood?
Yeah, it makes you want to sleep.
Yeah. It gets you groggy, right?
Yeah. It makes it harder to get up.
Yeah. So you had some questions.
Yes.
I get a lot of questions about VA loans. We kind of wanted to go ahead and explain how that kind of operates and stuff like that. So
yeah. So just off the bat, what is a VA loan? Like who is it for?
So VA loans is a very good loan, and it is to be protected. It's actually there to protect our veterans. Okay. So it is a zero down payment loan product. Okay. However, there is something that is called a funding fee, and that is part of the closing costs. However, if you are 100% disability as being a veteran, their funding fee does not apply. There are certain percentages that cannot be charged to a veteran, being the funding fee. So it's a great loan product to protect our veterans, for our veterans to get into a house for them and their family.
Okay. So VA stands for Veteran Affairs.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's just the VA loan. It's only solely for veterans.
Correct.
Okay. And as far as that goes, what do those types of loans look like? Are there only one type of VA loan? Is there only one type of VA loan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to summarize it, a VA loan and an FHA loan kind of may coincide with one another. And when I say that, it's kind of a synopsis based on the property type. VA loans is, you can, whether you're active duty or honorably discharged, you can qualify for a VA loan. Okay. Now, depending if you have income, how much your income is, a lot of veterans do work within the military, and we can use that income to qualify them for the loan. And there are some veterans that are honorably discharged, and we can, if they have a job or if they're currently working, we can go ahead and use that income to qualify them. Okay. Now, sometimes based on their credit, VA is very, very good credit-wise. And what I mean by that is that they may be restricted on something. So, for example, on a VA loan, you cannot be late on a car, but you could have a 570 credit score.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the score matters more the history matters more than the score.
Correct. And sometimes that may apply for FHA as well, but VA is very restricted on the history and the lates on your credit report versus credit score. Okay. So that's what is there. It's there to protect our veterans, to help them out. And it's a very great loan, so no down payment. That's the benefit of it.
Oh, nice. Okay. And is there a certain credit score needed to qualify for VA? I'm assuming like if you have a 450, they're not.
Correct. Yeah. No. So what happens is when we process your loan and we pull your credit report, we run your loan through a VA portal, and we run something called a desktop underwriting. And what that means is it pretty much goes into the system. We run an approval. And if we get an approval, we could get an approval sometimes at a credit score of 540, then you're good.
Okay. And
then there is some cases where I've had veterans with a credit score of 700, but they've had something on their credit report where the VA doesn't like. And it may come back as non-eligible. Wow. So that's where it's our job to kind of put the pieces to the puzzle together to see what works, what doesn't work. And that's how we kind of go ahead and go around it.
Yeah. So going back to it, you can have a 700, but if you were late, a certain number of times on car payment or some sort of loan that you had, then they're going to just you're not eligible.
Right.
Got it. As far as debt to income for VA loans, what's that look like, the ratio?
So that's flexible too, right? So I've had typically an FHA loan, the maximum debt to income ratio is 55. Now I've seen VA loans get approved up to almost 58 or 56, 59. Okay. So that's where it's flexibility. So for some reason, like putting a loan together, it's like a Rubik's cube, right? We're getting pieces and puzzles of everywhere that we can to kind of make this work, right? So at that point, sometimes if you have enough assets in a bank account put aside, then it says, okay, well, at least I have assets put aside, then it can be approved eligible with a higher debt to income ratio.
Right.
But if you have no money and you're coming in with a 540 credit score, then your debt to income ratio has to be significantly low. So it's like compensating factors that go into it.
Right. So if one is really good, but one is a little bit worse, the really good will help you out.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. And so you said active duty, you can qualify for this, even if you're currently in the military, correct?
Correct. You can. Now, there are some restrictions onto that as well. You know, for example, how long you've been in the reserves or in the military, sorry. What's your active, you have to have, I believe it was 5 years that you have to have in the military. If you're active duty, you can qualify for the loan. Again, income, debt to income ratio, credit score, all that factors in when it comes. So yes, you can apply for a VA loan being that you're on active duty.
Okay. Yeah. So you said 5 years.
Correct.
Okay. So you can't just join the military and then be like,
and say, you're there in Hawaii and then you want to buy something in Florida. So no, unfortunately it doesn't. Yeah. But it's there to protect them.
Yeah. Can there be a cosigner on a VA loan? Like especially like my dad is military.
Yes.
My mom's not. So would she be able to cosign?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So VA is only spousal.
Okay.
So husband and wife, yes, a cosigner. The spouse does have the VA rights to be a cosigner on there. However, your mom wouldn't be able to qualify for a VA loan alone.
On her own.
Correct.
Right.
It cannot be a son, daughter, or a sibling or anything like that. It is only there for spouse.
Gotcha. So my mom can cosign.
Correct.
I would not be able to cosign.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. You mentioned the funding fee at the end.
Yeah.
Is waived, right?
Well, it depends. Okay, so there is a certain amount of percentage of a funding fee. That's something similar to PMI. Okay, but VAs have it as a funding fee. So depending if you have been injured or you have honorable discharge or you're a disability of a certain percentage from the VA, then you don't have to pay the funding fee at closing, and or it's a lower percentage at closing. Okay. So it all depends on the scenario on the veteran.
Okay. And staying with fees, what about the seller's fee? Is there a seller fee on a VA loan?
Yeah. So I get asked that question. A lot of sellers get intimidated to accept an offer from a VA because they feel like there's so much cost from the seller. There is none. However, because it is a loan to protect our veterans, the number one thing that the seller does have to pay for is something called a termite inspection. Okay. And that can cost between $500 to up to $1,000. That charge does get applied to the seller. And that's there to protect the buyer, the veteran. Yeah. And same thing would apply for an FHA sometimes as well, but it's to protect the buyer, So that's the only cost pretty much that goes into it for the sellers.
Okay. And that's just to ensure, obviously, it's what it sounds like, no termites.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah, you don't want to go into a house, God forbid, and then there's like termites or no signs of it or anything. So it's there. It is a VA loan. The VAs don't want to go ahead and finance something that's going to be a risk for them.
Yeah. Okay. Are you able to have more than one VA loan at a time?
Yeah. Great question. So I had a client call me one time. They were told that they cannot have more than one VA loan. So yes, absolutely, you can have more than one VA loan. So there is a certain percentage that you are granted every from the VA. So depending on the eligibility that you have left over, you can qualify to purchase another home. So for example, if your first home was $350,000, right? You use 35% of the eligibility to go ahead and purchase that home. And then I can actually do the numbers. I'll make another video to go ahead and show the difference on it. Okay. And then if you're going to go buy another home, let's say it's 400,000 and you have a percentage left over of that, you can use that percentage to purchase the other home. Now, if there's a difference, your down payment can only be between $3,000 or something to accommodate for that percentage of the new purchase price of the home. So I know it sounds kind of confusing, but we would have to kind of do the math for you. But yes, absolutely. To answer your question, yes, you can use a VA loan more than once.
Okay, so you have a specified percentage then. Correct. With the VA loan based on what you can use. Yeah. So if you don't utilize that full 100% on the first VA loan that you have, then you can use the rest of that percentage to purchase
absolutely yes
a second
yes
property with using a VA loan. Is there like a time difference? No, you could do back to back.
Yep. Well, yes. I'm sorry. I apologize. You do have to have a window. It is between 6 months to a year. You want to kind of wait, but you can that VA percent. Eligibility is there for lifetime, so you can always use it anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would the down payment be? I know you kind of mentioned I believe it's 100% disability.
Right.
No down payment.
Correct. So down payment, typically there is no down payment on a VA loan. So the funding fee is something that is part of closing costs. Okay, that's similar to mortgage insurance. And we'll go into that on a different topic as well. So mortgage insurance is pretty much the same thing as funding fee. It's on to the loan as closing costs. So that gets rolled into your part of your closing costs. Now you can pay that upfront at closing, or you can roll it over into the loan amount. It depends on the veteran and their scenario.
Got it. Okay. So pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Are there any properties that don't qualify for a VA loan?
Yeah. So condos is a huge thing.
They hate condos.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Well, I could kind of see why, ever since that whole collapse in Miami happened, that was a huge thing. And then a lot of condominiums, they're just a conundrum, Yeah. So lenders don't want to deal with that. They don't want to be involved into that. So they make sure they have their due diligence. So to answer your question, condos is a huge thing. And same thing applies for FHA. Condos, and you can't have any molds on the property, no termites. Now, yes, single family home, townhome, duplex, fourplex, yes, you can purchase it with a VA loan, but the property has to be in a livable condition.
Okay.
Yeah, termites, appliances, things like that.
Okay. So just as long as everything is in order.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to go in with no termites and like mold, God forbid.
Yeah, definitely don't want termite, especially moving into a new house.
And it's getting pretty common in Florida. That's scary.
Yeah, I actually had my best friend was looking for a second home, and he got down to his wife was pregnant at the time. This is 3.5 years ago. His wife was pregnant at the time, so they were looking for a single family home. They were living in a condo, and they were gonna use the condo as a rental property and move into a single family home. Got to closing, final inspection. They found black mold.
What?
In the property. So, yeah.
Did they do a previous inspection, like a full inspection, and they didn't catch it?
I believe so, yeah. And the day of closing, or the day before closing, maybe.
Yeah, because they probably do like a walkthrough inspection. And they found mold?
Black mold, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, what happened?
They pulled the plug.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because they were going to be moving in there. So, a pregnant woman living in
Yeah.
black mold is not
No.
an ideal scenario.
Yeah, and see, so those things happen, right? Sometimes it looks beautiful and it's just painted a pretty picture. And then once you go in, you're like, wait, what just happened? You know? So it's super important. That's why inspections are super important on FHA and VA loans because you don't want to have buyer's remorse and the lender's not going to lend you on something where that has mold. And next thing you move into a house and you're filing an insurance claim.
Right.
So that's another thing, you know? That's why insurance is so high here in Florida too, as well. There's only like 2-3 insurance companies that insure Florida properties because there's so much going, you know, so much chaos going on. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think that's all the questions that
Yeah.
I had. Unless you have more information about VA loans that you
I
can
always
think
do.
of.
I always, you know me. And once I start talking, it's like, oh my God. I'm like, wait, did I just do information overload? I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. No, definitely. Guys, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, send me a DM, subscribe to my YouTube channel, give me a call. I'll be more than happy to go over any questions. Kevin will go ahead and ask them. And VA, if you're looking to get into a VA loan, it's super important to speak to your loan officer or give me a call. If you will have more questions or anything like that, click the link on my bio, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and thank you for joining our channel. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
And definitely next time.